Keep a fire burning red in a Georgia representing if it comes hard here. You know. Big up Kidaki, Buxton Massive. Hey Babylon boy, you going like you like son. Red.
Never Joe, never Joe, never Joe. Oh, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. Now I know what you can I be. Money, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. You can keep your conniving money. When you've been knocked for a bum, you have been tell me money. Now because your money down, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, you have been tell me money. Now because your money down, you hustle for tell me money. Yes, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. Now I don't want you conniving money. Neighbor, joker, neighbor, joker, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a guild piece. A 2 pound note and a guild piece. A 2 pound note and a guild piece. This all the money that me walk for. I said money, neighbor, money, neighbor, money. I don't want you conniving money. Oh, Joseph.
Guyana and Guyanese, at home and abroad. Tune in the Guyanese Morning Time, hosted by Kadaki Amsterdam, where the sun always shines. Guyanese Morning Time, the people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. We rise up early morning watching Comes TV, where wisdom and knowledge, yes, it is the key. Exposing corruptions over land and sea, where the wicked politicians they try to trick me. Guyana is a land for everybody. With 6 races should live in harmony. Is one set of people getting aisle money. Is one set of people doing the thievery. Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. This is a program that you all can see. Sharing your views and your integrity. Like it, comment and share it all around. Pass it to your neighbor, safe and sound. A sad situation going on in this town. The voice of the people is getting trampled down. Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings, with Jah as ordained me to sing. I sing Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, fooling the people. You're promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. Stop fooling people. You're promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. I say Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. They got Breakford, Bork and Mark Benchcop. David Hines and Kadaki Amsterdam. Sherrod Duncan, Nigel London. Normal Brown and Gavin Matthews. Big up Paslow, Port People Governor. Simona Brooms, Robin Simpson. Hampton Green and Winston Jordan. And yes, we can go right on and on. Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again.
The relatives and friends of young Wyndham Bacchus, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of our in Boston, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of Peter Headley, they deserve justice.
And so when we say that Guyana is an apartheid state, we have the evidence to show.
Hey fans, it's karaoke and oldies night this and every Thursday at Club Twilight Sideline Dam, Buxton. Dance to the magical songs of yesteryear by popular DJs and Camps Audio. Admission is free. Come out, let's make memories at Club Twilight Sideline Dam, Buxton North.
Comes audio son. You burn the swine when no want you shine. The tree of life, them no want you climb, cause them heart no kind. Comes I say them heart no kind. Buxton Massive, Kidaki, Red Hat.
You can get meat anywhere, but for the best cuts of chicken, beef, pork, mutton, and lots more, check out T&W Harris Butcher Shop, located in the East Ramvelt Market Meat Section. Call us on 609-7168, 641-4494. Ask for Rastaman. T&W Harris Butcher Shop for the best in fresh cut meats and lots more. I see you. Good morning. Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. I am your host, Kiraki Amsterdam. It's 7:30 right on that. It's the 5th of September in the year 2024. Welcome to the program. How have you been? How was your yesterday? How are you today? How was your last night? Which side of the bed you get up on? How you feeling? Y'all talk to me. I want to know what you're doing. What gives you hope? Well, I spoke with some young people yesterday, and when you talk with youths and you talk to human beings in general, you're supposed to have hope. So the youngsters give me hope. It's Thursday. We're supposed to have Winston Jordan on, Mr. Winston Jordan, former Minister of Finance. And so I'll call him just now. But I was going to allow y'all to admire me a little bit and some. I can be. Good, right. So how have you been? How was your yesterday? What, gave you hope and so forth? Well, I listened to some news last night and it made me thinking Guyana is a hopeless place. Well, I see Michael Bailey doing a good job there. Michael went and he visited the Schoonard roads, the multi-billion-dollar Schoonard road, and he was showing us all the faults that our monies have spent, or monies were spent for, and the Don's president is shouting about. But we're going to talk more about that tomorrow. Tomorrow is Free Talk Friday. As today, remember tonight is karaoke. Let me remind you of that one. And let me remind you that, listen, I got going to cash up, and the Zelle and so on and so forth. I got to support this program. Sometimes I reflect on the cost of doing this program daily. I have no option but to remind you that it really costs money to keep a program like this on daily. It might not appear so to you because many of you would say, hey, he's using his own resources. Yes, that's true. I'm using my own resources, but those resources are coming at a cost, and cost of living rising every day. Good? Cost of living rising every day. And so I just have to remind you that, hey, you could help bear that cost. But I will remind you also that even if you don't, the program will stay on here. And I think that is what some of you, quote unquote, take advantage of. Even if we can contribute, Mr. Amsterdam will do the program anyhow. We can get the information anyhow. We can get the advice anyhow when we call him. We're going to get his support anyhow. He's going to continue to do what he's doing because he has committed to doing it. Yes, that's a fact. I've committed to doing it. I will continue to do it. But that doesn't mean that, you shouldn't help. You live in a house with your parents, they feed, clothe, and shelter you up to when you become an adult. When you become an adult, they still feed and they shelter you because you might take your money away, work from by your own clothes. Oh, out of the goodness of your heart, contribute something on the table. When you get paid at the end of the month, put something on the table. Some parents will tell you, I don't want your money. Don't worry them. Put something on the table. Because even if they don't want it, let's say they don't really need it, when it's on the table, they're going to take it and they're going to put it up, and therefore it will be there for hard guava season, or as we like to say, rainy days. And so if you find yourself in a jam, you could go to them and say, man, things like this month, things didn't work out. Give me a loan now, or give me a raise. And they will do it happily ever after because they know that you haven't been selfish, you have been contributing. Right? So yeah, contribute, man. Come, contribute. Good. Let me tell you, I did tell you yesterday that I was intending on going to the Practical Instruction Center at the back of Buxton Friendship there and talk with the teachers and the administrators and the students and so on and see what assistance I can give to the students especially. My concern at this time more is like helping all those fifth formers because they're preparing for exams May, June next year. But like I was saying to them yesterday, and I always believe, if you start practicing your skill now, the little that you learn, now you're empowering yourself. And a lot of times we teach our children, but we don't teach them, we teach them the theory, but we don't teach them the practical, or we don't show them how doing the practical can make money for them. And so yesterday I had a little talk with some of them. They're the advanced class, they are the performers. And so I went out there and I spoke with them. And some of them they tell you, we can make table, we can make a center table, we can make a stool, we can make picture frames. Those are some of the things that they can make. But when the question is asked, do you have your personal tools? None of them have personal tools. And that's the thing, we're teaching them a skill, but we're teaching them a skill in the classroom. But we're not showing them the nexus between the classroom and real life, if I can call it that, or the road gut. And so none of them has personal tools. So none of them can stay home and make a picture frame for somebody who wants a picture frame to hang their family portrait, especially in this season that's coming up, Christmas, or as a gift to somebody. None of them has the tools to make a table at home. If somebody wants a table, you know. And so based on a contribution I got from that sister in Canada, I'm not going to call her name until she tells me I can call her name. I committed to giving them, at least 6 of them, the basic stash: saw, chisel, hammer, measuring tape, so they could start doing something. And I told them, you know, people still use scrubbing board in this country, so make a scrubbing board. Walk the neighborhood and see who wants to buy a scrubbing board and sell them that scrubbing board. And then take that money and go and buy 2 more pieces of wood and make 2 more scrubbing boards. And they might be surprised to know how they will get here. I always remember we had a man in the village we used to class, Scraper Man. Scraper Man lives somewhere off the coast now, he's a Tin Smith. Scraper Man used to make puzzling cups and so on. And Christmas time, children like puzzling things. Right? There's always showing you kinds and saving money and so on. We have to teach our youngsters how to use the skill that we're teaching them in the classrooms to make money. I also found out that the PIC has some machinery, heavy machinery, like lathe, and I can't remember all of the names. I just look at them, I didn't find out the names and so forth. I know, I think I saw lathe, they got router and stuff like that. They need servicing. Talking with the instructor, the machinery at the PIC need servicing. So those of you who are listening, for the government, please tell them, tell Satire Gal, that the machinery at the Buxton Friendship PIC is in need of servicing. I am almost sure, right? I'm almost sure that the administration of that school must have reported to the education officers and whoever bears responsibility for supervision and administration and so on, that there is a need for the machinery to be serviced. But we have a way in Ghana, right? We have a way in Ghana where we don't do what is necessary. Those machinery should have been serviced before schools reopen. Good? Because if they are not serviced, then they are not available for use. They will tell you that the practical instruction center has this and it has that and it has the other. But then, are they usable? Are they operable? Right? From where I stand, from the information I got, the stuff needs servicing. And so I'm pleading this morning. I'm making 2 pleas. I'll tell the Ministry of Education it needs servicing. And the other one is, if there's anybody on this program that has the skill to service those machinery and is willing to donate some time to service them, or at least 1 piece, make contact, let me know, and so we can arrange it. Right? I'm sure I'm going to hear about the technicalities. Is the Ministry of Education property, and therefore nobody could touch it without the permission of the Ministry of Education and so on? If we identify the resource to get it done, we are going to write to the ministry through the administrator of the school offering to service it. Because if we sit and wait, it ain't on service, at least at a pace. Our children wouldn't get used to it. And so we're robbing our children. Just like them in government robbing the nation. Good. Those are some things I wanted to talk to you about this morning. As a start, we're going to continue these conversations. The tools I have are for not masonry, carpentry and joinery and so on. But they have masons. There are people who are learning masonry at the Practical Instruction Center. So if you all got some masonry tools that you all want to share, hit me up on that. Let's empower our young people. Let's show them. I hope at some point I'll get the opportunity to sit and talk with them one-on-one or in a small group, how they could make some money, even while studying, and how that money that they make can contribute to them being able to write CXC. Because it's not every parent might be able to pay for the CXC fees. So we can help our children to help themselves. Right? I'm calling Mr. Jordan. I hope, what I said, Tight Fist. I hope Tight Fist had, was able to rest and recuperate from the Labor Day parade. Mr. Jordan, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning to that. Good morning, boy. I'm surviving and recuperating.
That's why I say I hope you get to rest and recuperate from the Labor Day parade, because
well, the Labor Day parade might signal the end of summer, which is technically the end of summer. It's not true, but the activities go on, the fun go on. You know, when you're holidaying, you have fun 24/7.
I tell you, so you haven't had a full night's rest as yet.
No, you can't get rest here because when you eventually get back home, you could do all the resting.
Yo, they're blasé. I could imagine double gun Jordan, double fist Jordan.
but it is good to get opportunities, as I said, to recharge the batteries, you know, and look forward to the next year, God's year, because this year, being a leap year, I don't know for what reason, a lot of people that you know, prominent people and not so prominent, have passed away. You know, some are close to you, whether your relatives, your family, and so on, your friends definitely, and so on. So, as you go to more funerals, you decide, well, listen, we don't know when it's the hour, and therefore we better start using up whatever time left on the earth, you know.
You've only got one life to live.
One life to live. One life to live.
All right. Tonight is karaoke at Clock Twilight. They tried to clear my vocals there, but it's only rusty.
Yeah.
You must come at night and sing for me, you know. You're singing, man. You're not singing, sir?
I used to croon in bathroom when I small, but as the voice get raspy and so on, I do more listening than croning.
Well, for you, I will recommend I did it my way. There's no fault in singing that song. It's always your way.
Yeah, definitely. I can try it one of these days for the past by the karaoke. Don't worry.
All right, buddy. So let's talk, man. We got enough things to talk about. 5 billion US in debt, according to the half-year report and so on. Talk to us about what's happening with this country's economy.
Well, before we go there, I just want to give you a quick rundown of my sojourn, which took in Toronto and New York. I say this because of the massive response that I got, and it came from the Kidaki program. So I don't know why that response is not being reflected in your cash apps and so on.
I was about to ask if you didn't collect contributions. Maybe they prefer sending it in cash.
Yeah, you know, so I made a play every time I said, so so when they would approach me, I said, so you make a contribution to the program because, you know, the man has to pay bills and, you know, you can't continue hearing me or Dr. Hines or whoever else on the program unless he gets some assistance, you know. It's very hard to be making public appeals all the time. When as a civic duty, people could send a little $5 US. You know, if 100 people send $5 US, I think you'll be smiling. Not all the way to the bank, but you could be smiling, rather smile on your face, and that's all.
Of course, it will help to reduce the muscles instead of me wondering how would the bill getting paid this month.
Yeah, so and you know, so I engage a lot of people in curious conversations. They always wanted to know what's going on again, and they wanted me to expand a little bit more on the issue of the teachers and this fiscal space story. And two of them asked me to elaborate a bit more on the fiscal space that I brought up, because they said the first time they heard the term, and while they think they understood it, they want me to elaborate a bit more. And so I want to acknowledge all their efforts in listening and contributing and so on, and the fact that they reached out. And so the first part I want to do is just to give a little reaction to what they asked about the fiscal space and so on. And I will incorporate some of the half year, because I haven't read the half year report. I've only been reading what Sabbath News and Kaicho News have been carrying. And as I said, I'm doing that sporadically, you know, in the reading or so on, you know, because when you're on that day, you don't really read, you know. But I have a gist of what is going on, and I'm trying to incorporate some of it into this whole definition of fiscal space and so on. But I did some playing around with some numbers on this whole teacher thing. Remember last week we had made the startling revelation that teachers, based on Jack Leo's numbers that he gave at his press conference, that teachers were getting 6.7% of the budget in 2015. And this was just about half they were getting in 2024, even when you adjusted for the 10%, right? The typical 10% that being given. And I did some, in fact, a lot of people who had or that statistic, that the first thing they reach, I mean, why the government robbing teachers so much and all this kind of story. Well, you know, when you do, as I said, when you go behind the numbers and you made them stark, as we did last week, you know, people get the reality of the situation rather than the mass that they use in these big numbers. You know, the teachers' bill is 40 billion. What does that mean? Are the same number of teachers in 2015 getting the $40 billion, or are more teachers being added to the system, and as a result, the wage bill gone up? You know, so those kinds of these unfortunate kinds of questions don't be asked at the press conferences. You know, it's they were getting how much billion, you know, in 2015, but look, we have raised it to 40 billion and so on. But they'll get you know, are the same numbers that they were implied in 2015, are they now implied? Are the exact same positions? You know, because increases can be accounted for through any number of things, promotions, you know, additions of numbers, and all these different things, as you well know. But everybody sits down there and, you know, they look like in a transfer in a days, you know, these wild numbers that are being thrown all over the place. All right. So I said I was going to crunch some numbers and see what it will take for teachers to get back 6.7% of the budget.
I want you to, Mr. Jordan, to respond while you're crunching those numbers, if possible, to the statement that the smaller percentage of the budget doesn't mean a loss because the budget is big enough.
But this is absolute rubbish. It is total. It is absolutely total rubbish. Absolutely total rubbish. So you're moving from one goalpost. You're shifting from one goalpost to the next goalpost. You know, I mean, if you want to say that, okay, teachers are getting 2% of a $1 trillion budget, and therefore, in nominal terms, that is bigger than 6.7% of a smaller budget. Again, the issues come in. Are we talking about the same numbers of people who were employed in 2015 as opposed to 2024? Are we talking about the same categories of people who were employed in 2015 as against 2024? Unless you deal with like, there is nothing that you could impute beyond the fact that one number is greater than the other. there's nothing. So you have to go with the relative shares. You have to go with the relative shares. And I'm saying that they were getting 6.7% of a budget, which means they were commanding a larger share of the budget in 2015. And when you go down to 3.8%, including the 10% increase, so let's remove the 10% we typed in. When you go down to 3.4%, it means that other expenditures are crowding out the wage bill of the teachers. While you are crowding in other expenditures, and we will come to that when you talk about fiscal space. So beyond telling me what one number in 2015 was X amount and the number today is Y amount, doesn't say nothing beyond the fact that one number is greater than the other. And that's why you go to relative shares to make some comparison. And that in any case, in the nominal, it is difficult to compare nominal numbers. You have to adjust them for inflation and so on. And you compare one real number with the other real number. So, I don't get involved in those kinds of, discussion. I don't want to complicate. A lot of people understand the easy approach that we put out there, right? But don't let people come on this chat line and try to obfuscate the conversation. The reality is that the teachers have been losing ground over the years. And if you consider how much they got under the coalition government without the kind of resource that you have today, if they didn't get that, can you imagine what would have been the teachers' wage bill in 2024? Given what they have been given under this government, can you imagine what would have been their wage bill had they not benefited from the large increases that we gave while in government? So yes. So there has to have some agreement as to what share of the budget will teachers command. And that share has to be consistent with making teachers' salary a salary that is comparable with a set of institutions in Guyana and across the Caribbean. And it's obvious why that has to happen. It is obvious why that has to happen. So initially, to get to where teachers ought to be going, their share will have to be either the same as the 6.7 or even higher. And then it will decline over time. The shares will decline over time once they reach that level. So if teachers are getting $100,000 starting today, $100,000 they're getting. And if the objective is to have a teacher start $200,000 or $250,000 by say 2029 or 2030, then it would require the share of the teachers' bill in the budget to increase progressively during that period. Because it's a mounting decline from 100,000 to 250,000 in 5 years. It's a mounting decline. And it will require the share to increase progressively. But once you reach the 250,000, then other things will kick in. Like, for example, at that stage, you will get not increases anymore, but you will get a salary scale. A salary scale where the starting is 250,000 and where performance is the measure for your increase through the increment system. So you reintroduce the increment. So you don't have to be talking about across the board salary increases every year and every year and every year. You reintroduce the performance appraisal system, you reintroduce a merit system. And increments are added to your salary. And in doing that also, you remove the debunching problem, where even though you may have 5 years of service, you are still getting the same salary as a new entrant who comes in. And that's because even though you're talking about salary scale, people don't get the benefit of increments. Everybody gets the same across the board increase, which widens the disparity, because 10% of 100 is not the same as 10% of 200. It widens the disparity. So my theory is you have to progressively increase the wage bill of the teachers such that within a reasonable point in time, you get to a starting salary that is commensurate with or is comparable with institutions within the country, and definitely comparable with what at least is in the Caribbean. You may not be able to make it comparable with what happens in the United States or England or so on, but that's fine. That is fine. Most teachers teach for love, but at the same time, they got to get some decent income to run a family. And if they get that decent income, they would not migrate anymore. In fact, many teachers, if you start salaries at 200,000, will re-migrate. Because the expenses they have to incur while they are in some overseas country, and the cut and contrive, and the psychological impact of migrating, culture and weather and geography and all these different things, family separation, all those things, they won't have to go through that. They won't have to go through that. But if you continue to increase salaries at 5% and 10%, sooner than later you're going to lose most of the teachers, because it would not take the salaries to any position that is comparable with even the lowest paid in the Caribbean. So salary discussions and negotiations, they've got to have some objectives, and especially in light of the results that have come out of the last CSEC examinations, and the half-baked and quarter-baked measures that the Education Ministry has announced, ostensibly to improve math and so on. They won't work. They won't work. Given an extra half an hour to math teaching in schools, or extra 2.5 hours to prepare for math instructions in schools, it's not gonna dramatically shift the needle, the pass rate. Because it is clear that no serious discussion has gone in the review process as to why this is happening. And you have a bigger problem, even bigger problem. Less than 5% of the students writing the CSEC obtaining 5 and over with maths and English in there. So it's not only a maths problem you got. Every year, it says over 11,000 students writing CSEC are being thrown by the wayside if the metric is 5 subjects, minimum 5 subjects with maths and English in it.
You got a matriculation problem.
Huge. But all you come with is a half-baked measure that says we're gonna give 2 more half-hour periods to mathematics. No in-depth analysis of what is the problem.
Same methods, same infrastructure, same resources, more time.
and the situation is getting worse because even as teachers retire, many of them just had enough of the system, right? And they go and they open their own private schools or their own lessons, or they just retire, or they migrate. And because the education system and these institutions, all these teacher training institutions and whatnot, I've heard some old teachers talk about their time compared to what is obtaining today. And I could only go by what they're saying. You know, there are issues there with the new entrants who are coming in to the teaching profession.
Mr. Jordan, sorry.
Yes.
Not only the entrants that are coming in, there are issues there because there's a lot of political interference. And I'm talking from a position of no. Right? Politicians in particular, directly from the Ministry of Education, Minister and PS and so on, instructing instructors that they must pass people even if they fail. Especially hinterland students. They're giving them a free pass.
And all of that, right, all of that adds up to the problems. You know, your political problems, you have educational problems, you have equity problems, geographic, you have all, whatever, there are numerous problems. Okay? And so the graduates that and then of course, I mean, 2 years ago or so, there are some issues to do with grades and, you know, and all these different kinds of story. I mean, it's not only at Kirapato, whoever else, you got UG, got their own problems with lecturers, you know, quality of lecturers, grading, you know, there's always a hassle, you know, whether you're graduating or not, because, you know, a grade hasn't been submitted here, a grade hasn't been submitted there. You know, you got the lecturers who lecturing for 10 years and they haven't done one single research, but they're still at the university or whatever else. No, all of these things add up to the problems that we're talking about. And the ones, and as I said, I just use myself. I tutor maths. I tutor, not teach. I tutor maths because I do one-on-one with no more than 2 or 3 students, you know, one-on-one. And the deficiencies I observe, they are real and they are enormous. They are real and they are enormous. Teaching math is not like teaching most other subjects. You know, and maths is not about, you know, it's not about one of those things, copy from the board and all these kinds of story. That's not going to work. And a lot of the children are being shortchanged by some or many of the teachers. They're being shortchanged because the teachers themselves don't understand the concept. And either they teach it by rote or they don't teach it at all. So the post-student is left more confused than ever. So it's not only a student problem, it's a teacher problem, it's a methodology problem, it's a technique problem, it's all kinds of different problems. And I've made this assessment over 15, nearly 20 years of teaching remedial students who come to me. And not only see it, common entrance and all this kind of stuff. And I see it. You go home, check your student book, textbook, or exercise book, or whatever book they use, and see how much work they have done in mathematics, for example. See how much work they have done. And even when they are given, say, assignment or homework, unmarked, it is left unmarked most of the time. They don't know where they are making the mistakes. They don't know where they are failing, and so on. So it's not only about half an hour more. It's not only about half an hour more for maths. It's a very intensive syllabus, both at the common entrance and the CSEC. Very, very intensive syllabus. And just covering the syllabus alone in that short space of time is a miracle. Much less to be doing things like methodology, approach to problem solving, you know, critical thinking and all these kind of things that you got to impart in a student who wants to pass maths with a reasonable grade and not just pass maths. But I sounded off there because I'm on the teaching part. But back to the salaries. And I have been able to crunch that teachers could have done a 20% increase in 2024. 20% of the budget. 20% increase in 2024. Another 15% increase in 2025. And another 10% increase in 2026. During the period 2024 to 2026, the ministry and the unions would work on a new salary scale for the teachers. With a view to the next cycle between 2027 to 2030, trying to implement that salary scale such that by 2030 you will have in place a salary scale that is reflective of salaries that are comparable to what? Comparable to the average in the Caribbean, but at least the minimum, not in Haiti, but a minimum that a teacher gets in, of course, adjusted for inflation and so on. And thereafter, and during that period also, both the ministry and the teachers union will work on the appraisal system such that increments can be given January of the following year, where those are due. And people and teachers could qualify for a maximum of 2 increments, given a set of criteria that you may put in place. But no more would an incoming teacher, a newbie, be paid the same salary as teachers who have been in the system for varying periods, because that acts as a demotivating factor. And no more will teachers believe that they could just come and saunter in and don't teach and don't be supervised and everything else, because when the appraisal comes up, there will be sufficient evidence to indicate the grade that you will be given and so on. So responsibility has to be all wrong. All wrong. So you can't just give an across the board increase with nothing attached to it. Now we will go to the salary scales and everything else will be paid up a salary reflective of your condition and so on, but we expect outputs and so on. Just like the United States and so on. You don't produce, you don't get. The school board will call you and tell you, well, you got to find some other place or something. Right? You have to constantly upgrade yourself. Right? You can't be teaching with 1940 methods. You can't be teaching today's children 1940 methods. You have to be updated constantly using the technology that is available, using the teaching aids that are available, and so on. So that is a rounded sense. So we're not only calling just for salary increases, which seems to be, the mantra, but it's an all-round effort. It's an all-round effort, right? Now we're not going to be paying peanuts anymore, right? We'll be paying bucks and spice mangoes, real thing. But we expect real output also. Now, since we are in an emergency situation, it calls for emergency measures. Just don't have a physical space, or we got physical space. You will never get physical space if you don't create. The word space itself connotes a creation of something. If you have a boulder, right, that's an obstruction. But once you move the boulder, you created space, not so? That you gotta let me wait. Don't try to make it into a conversational thing, right? So don't blame physical space, right? You can create physical space. In fact, physical space is defined as the flexibility of a government in its spending choices, right? The flexibility of a government in its spending choices.
Underline that word, spending choices, because we see the choices they're making in terms of spending.
Correct. That is why I repeated it. And Peter Hello, in 2005, elaborated on the definition. And he has defined it as the room in a government's budget that allows it to provide resources for a desired purpose without jeopardizing the sustainability of its financial position or the stability of the economy. Right? So in that definition, we see several things coming out. It's about choice, right? It's about financial position, it's about sustainability, right? And so on. So when you go to the government's budget, where the financial plan that they talk about here is in place, you see that all of the suggestions I have made can be accommodated without violating the broad objectives of the budget and the broad metrics of the budget. It is not adding new expenditure. I give a simple example. It is known, the IMF has already put it out there. Before the IMF, you had the IDB, and you had the World Bank, and you had the Caribbean Development Bank. That on average, about 30 to 40% of the expenditure, of public expenditure in Guyana, is wasted.
And wasted in the sense of what? I interpret wasted as misappropriated, stolen, lost to corruption.
Yeah, all of that. Wasted could also mean exactly, for example, like the Schoonard Road, right? Wasted in the sense that there's allegations of shoddy work and so on, and therefore that will mean even if there's a defect liability period, it will mean additional time and other equipment and other resources having to be devoted to something that should have been done properly in the first place. So that is a form of waste. Another form of waste is to wake up and have somebody's dream become a nightmare. So like the road to the Amalfi Falls, wasted money, skeleton, waste, and you name it all. Cable from Brazil to wherever, waste. Roads to nowhere, waste. Right? Those are all parts of the whole concept of waste. Corruption, all that is in there, but you have wider connotations where improperly planned projects will result in waste. Where projects that are that did not have the benefit of feasibility studies, but are being implemented waste. Where political projects are being implemented with a view to votes in the upcoming election, waste. And you could go on and on and on and on, and you will find all the different areas of wastage. Right? Waste is also failure to do proper and timely maintenance. So that a school that you just built, and you cut your ribbon, and all the politicians are there. Project done by the People's Progressive Party government. You cut ribbon and the board is there. 5 months after you pass there, the windows are falling out of the school. Right? The labs don't work anymore. The computer labs don't work anymore. And so on. And the school itself is falling apart because the wood that you used was sap wooden rather than dried wooden. And all these things. The concrete wasn't properly done. The mixture wasn't properly done, and so on. So all of that is waste. When you compare, for example, the Linden-Soesdijk Highway that was built around 68, 69, thereabouts. And when you consider with minimal maintenance over the years, that road has stood the test of time. That is a properly built road, and therefore you get the returns on your investment. Good? You get your returns on investment. But you have numerous examples around the place of shoddy work, of improperly built, whether it's roads, buildings, schools, whatever. So all of that is in the concept of waste. And even if you cut waste, by just 10%, you could finance all the measures that I have put in place here for teachers. But I've jumped the gun. I should have started with revenues. Because the budget got three sides. You have the revenue side, you have the expenditure side, and of course the debt side that has to do with the financing. And of course, on the revenue side, you have a lot of issues there. Tax concessions that are given away, inappropriate subsidies that are given away, because a subsidy, even though it falls on the expenditure side, is also a tax expenditure. It is money foregone. Targeted subsidies, yes, but literature will tell you to avoid subsidies as far as possible because they are very difficult to manage. Most of the time they're ill-targeted, and they are very difficult to remove when situations improve. So the literature will tell you to avoid subsidies as much as possible. And if you must put in a subsidy, it must be made clear the purpose for which it is done, and that it's only of a temporary nature. But as I said, even saying that, even though it said it's temporary lasts for years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever the case may be, and it just keeps being temporary. But all of that takes away from the revenue pile. Because you are predetermining where these specific aspects of revenue will go. If you must do that, then predetermine how much of the revenues you will set aside to pay teachers, because we're in a crisis. It's not that other professions shouldn't command respect or so on, or attention, but you are in a crisis. And other professions will not exist if you don't have a quality education system. So I don't want people jumping and holler, oh, you got engineers to deal with, yes. But choices, priority, these are the things that you have to be in mind. And as we said, you ain't gonna get an engineer, and you ain't gonna get a nurse, and you ain't gonna get a policeman, and so on, if you don't have a proper education system with teachers in there to teach and to mold minds and to bring out quality people for national development purposes. And then, of course, even where you may have legislation, you fail to collect the taxes because you got favored people, or for whatever reason, one of them is favored people. If you don't have quality staff at your revenue collection agencies, then the revenues that you should get, you will not get. If you don't have quality staff at your revenue agencies, then the attention to areas that should be giving you revenue but not giving you revenue will not be. This government is loath to collect revenues from the agricultural sector. One being the fact that the bulk of the people in the agricultural sector claim to be, in his claim, PPP supporters. But when revenue collection got a political connotation in it, you will never get fiscal space. you will never get fiscal space. You were given all the giveaways to the agriculture sector, whether it's free fertilizer, no rent for the land, free pesticides, free roads, farm to market roads, free drainage and irrigation, free everything you were given. Free duties and taxes, no duties and taxes on tractor equipment, you name it. You're giving away everything. But yet, you don't want to tax their income. You want others to pay for the services that you have given them free. So all of that would affect your revenue profile. You think public servants shouldn't be fixed that under the PAYE system, they are forced to pay taxes even before they get their money? They receive the pay packet every month. Or the private sector people who are employees who go through the same system, you don't think that they should be vexed? Because when they look around and see the large number of self-employed people who don't pay any taxes or pay little taxes, that is not a secret. That is known. Every year, the revenue agency complains about their difficulty in collecting money from self-employed. I don't want to identify any particular group, but it is known out there. It is known. Large numbers of self-employed people don't pay any taxes. So who must pay the taxes for these people? The public servants, the private sector employees who are employed directly, where the monies come out of as a result of PAYE. So the point is that fiscal space can be created. You don't have to increase taxes. You don't have to bring in new taxes. Fiscal space can be created if, in the context of the existing tax system, you improve the efficiency of collection and you improve the effectiveness of tax administration. Just those two things. And revenues will balloon. On the expenditure side, you've identified already waste as one big area. We're cutting waste by just 10%. We'll give you all the money that you want. There are other aspects of the expenditure that you could improve, like proper targeting of the expenditure, by the quality of the expenditure, by reforms in expenditure. Because over the last 30 years or thereabout, we have added so many computers to the system in Guyana. So many. But do you see significant improvement in the way business is done in Guyana? Go to any ministry and you will see how many salt bags, if they're still using salt bags, or vouchers that they have. Because according to them, you have to keep these vouchers for 7 years for auditing and other purposes. But you got a computer. Why you can't digitalize these vouchers and keep them on a disk? It will save space right away. It will save salt bags. It will be a better record-keeping system, faster method of retrieval, and so on.
You could even save in the clouds, and it will save them from arson.
So did you see the point I'm making? When you look at the public service, establishment, I am sure you will still find typist clerk. When last you saw a typewriter in any institution?
As stenographers.
You know. So this is the point. This is the point. In the midst of technology, we are not clearly able to use tech and with technology, we employing it side by side with the old system. Because the laws remain in place where you have to old system. So the new system is an imposition on the old system. So you have parallel system, and that's a waste. That is a waste. Check the government's budget and you'll see the print and non-print material. Enormous increase. And look at that is paper. Look at that is paper. Why should I be printing any form or whatever to go and carry it at the passport office? Why? Are people you just jump on the computer and you go to their site and you plug in all your information. You don't even go to their office. Payments, everything you made online. And your passport comes in by whatever DHL or whoever. Within weeks, your passport is there. Totally efficient. But notwithstanding the fact that they do great work, the people are the stress at the immigration office, they do. I have nothing but full compliments for that. But when you look at the line, enormous line, like you line up for food or for arms. Then there's a better system. So we're losing a lot of money to wasteful expenditure. And all it caused is a rejigging here and a thinking there, and you save lots. And you create the space. And finally, on the debt side, no, they can tell you all kinds of things that they want, that we are low risk of debt, this and all this kind of stuff. But it's the same thing we were hearing in the 70s. After the oil crisis, money was doro. People were giving away money. Just like the man from China who passed through the Caribbean and he dropped only 130 million by Guyana for building a airport. An airport that was unplanned, no feasibility study, no anything. But he dropped a 130, so we have to take it. And the only way we know is because it was announced in Jamaica, not in Guyana. It was announced in Jamaica, not in Guyana, and not by anybody in the government, by somebody in Jamaica. Yes, we were heard it in the 70s that the money is free. Everybody is willing to lend you money. Right? You're looking good. Sugar prices gone up. Guyana international reserves. It's at that particular point in time. So let me borrow like we're heading good now. And then what? Can't we doing the same thing here? We're borrowing our future away. Because we think that the 11 or the 18 or the 30 billion barrels we got out there will save us. And that the prices gone over between 75 and 85 and upwards. We don't learn, you see. We don't learn. We're in a haste to develop. To develop what? You ain't got the skill set. You got a very small population. You ain't got the skill set. You don't have a 25-year development plan. You don't have a 10-year development plan. You don't have a 5-year development plan. So what is it that you're developing? What is it? What's the intention? What is it down the road? How are we going to look down the road? And how you're developing when you're spending enormous resources on things, something in Silicon City, for which you're using architects out of Miami. And now you're asking, imagine you're asking the tax reform, what is the name? Law reform commission or committee or whatever they are, to look at laws for Silicon City. Don't we have enough laws in this country for these people to look at?
Silicon City may be a state within the state.
And then you're asking them to look at amendments to laws for cybercrime. I mean, this is what is the law reform committee. The enormous number of laws that are in the books that are useless. No more. And so on. Isn't this the job of the law reform committee? You're asking them now to look at Silicon City and cybercrime. But that is the problem we have. That is the problem we have. So you think that you could mortgage our future by borrowing excess? I see, for example, I think it's a year ago or 2 years ago, the Ministry of Finance signed for a loan of about, I think it's 1.7 or 2.7 or 3 billion, something like that, for institutional strengthening of the Ministry of Finance. Again, for the umpteenth time. Why do I need a loan of $3 million? Huh? Why do I need a loan of $3 million? And then we talk about wasteful expenditure. Because that seeps into your debt. As I said yesterday on Sherrod's, I remarked on Sherrod's, but I have been remarking all the time. Show me the study that says that we needed 5 regional hospitals. Some of them being placed side by side or in close proximity to existing hospitals, as in the case of Fort Wellington. Which study, which health plan, which development plan said that you need 5 regional hospitals? Wasteful expenditure. And certainly wasteful in the context of what are the priorities of the nation. And we will pay a heavy price. We think we're not going to pay every price. Because first, as I said, we are mortgaging the future for present day, for questionable present day activities. Questionable present day activities. The coalition government was able to put together resources to start the building of the Linden Lethem Road, or if you want to say Georgetown Lethem Road. 4 years on this government coming, they latched on the government, on the coalition government's plan. 190 million US, and that section of the road is being built. But you don't hear them talk about the next phase of that road that will take it to Lethem. But they are all over the place, all over the place. A widening of Conversation Tree here, a widening of Dennis Street there, and so on. No plan. Because all you are doing is bringing more and more traffic into an already congested area to create chaos. And a new definition of chaos is going to be when they build that proposed hotel in Kaifest Avenue. A new definition of chaos. But you don't get, as I said, a plan to complete that road to Lethem that will result in significant trade between Brazil and Guyana. You get all these little things that will result in sheer confusion in the country. So your debt is also when you take on debt, right? And debt is as a result of deficits in your budget. When you take on debt, you better make sure that the debt is going to result in productive activities to enable you to pay back that debt whenever it becomes due. Our reputation between the 70s, the middle to late 70s, and up to the early 2000s was not stellar. And I think it should act as the kind of warning for us to be very prudent, and that word should have meaning, not just be written in a budget speech or everybody's speech, or be prudent and so on. Because prudence also requires some level of conservatism in outlook. Because some of these debts that they're taking and the size of them and so on are very scary. And what they are doing to the Natural Resource Fund, which they're ultimately raiding, even more than their regressive farm law after they adjusted the 2019 Act, is even more classical. So those three areas will affect your fiscal space. But I think your audience now has a clearer understanding about fiscal space and how it can be affected. And any talk about fiscal space, they will now know it is a ruse not to make the necessary adjustments to pay the teachers and in a wider respect the public servants. So I have done my part, you have done your part, Kidaki, and so on, and it's up to the unions and the public servant employees themselves to impress upon the government the necessity for a better wage, a living wage, because the resources are there. It just requires the necessary tinkering and reforms in certain areas for the same one. We're not asking to add more to the existing deficit. We have shown where within the existing deficit, we can make a massive difference. Right? So that is my, I don't know if any questions have come through. I don't see the questions or so on that particular aspect that we are on the teachers and so on. That will from my area on the teachers.
No, I don't see any question really. Somebody was asking if it wasn't the IMF that had stopped or advised that the increment system be gotten rid of.
No. IMF made no stance whatsoever like that. Nobody would advise that the removal of a merit increment system. Even the IMF got a merit increment system. Why would they advise for its removal? No. Not at all. And in fact, I think they are so firm on across the board increases because they know it will mash up salary scales, and it rewards a set of people unfairly, right? Because across the board increases don't act as a motivating factor, because it rewards those who work hard, those who work less, and those who don't work at all.
With the same
That's what an across the board increase does.
Do you?
Sorry, you were going to say something?
I say whether you do or you do not, you get.
Yes, that's exactly what you get. Next week, when I have a better chance of looking at the half-year report, I'll be able to deal with that. Because I see the time run out already, right? So I think that is what I wanted to do today. I want to do something else also, but I guess I will also have to shift it to next week.
You have about 20 minutes if you can do it in 20 minutes. We can go a little over. All the...
No, I'm also on the move.
All right.
This morning, so I think that this will be my best at the moment.
Good, very well. Thank you very much, as usual, for your good works. Let me keep it that way. Good. And so you heard former Minister of Finance Vincent Jordan put into bed, if I can call it that, what I would like to call them misrepresentations as to why people can't get their just due, and so on and so forth. The lines are open. 6225923 is the number to call. You can call and let us hear your comments on this morning's discussions. And of course, if there's anything else you want to raise relative to what we're doing. John C. Paul, I see you're asking me about the cost of the tool sets that I have on the thing to give to those students. But I can't tell you cost right now. The sets that I'm giving out, that I've committed to give out next Wednesday, next Wednesday to be exact, are sets that were sent to me, a collection of tools that was sent to me by someone who resides in Canada. And so when I looked at it, I said, this year would be good to do mini toolkits, if you can call it that, and give out to students of carpentry and joinery and so on and so forth. And so I just parceled them off, and I decided, I went and I spoke with the people at the PIC about doing it and so on. There are a few things I will have to bite to add to that, because we didn't get enough measuring tapes. I can always go and pick up a few measuring tapes and so on. But I did make an appeal for those who are doing masonry, because there are students in the class who do masonry. And so if somebody has tools to donate to those who are doing masonry, we will welcome those too. What I can do is somewhere in my going in and my coming out, I can go look and see what it will cost to put together a basic package for the masoners, as they call themselves. I'm thinking they might need a spade, a level, a trowel, measuring tape, definitely. I'm looking at, you need a spade to mix mortar and so on. A trowel if you're going to be laying blocks, a level if you're laying blocks, and of course a tape measure, and so on and so forth. So yes, I most likely will go out at some point in time and see what it will cost to put that together. That I can report on you on. But the things that I already have committed to giving to the joinery students and carpentry students and so on, those have been donated, save and except I would say an adequate number of measuring tapes, which I will get on my own. Call your life.
Yeah, good morning. Good again, all that Minister said. Well, I spoke that about when the teachers get increased. What will happen? The private school got to be increased too. Now, when the private school has been increased.
Morning, neighbor, morning. Are you morning, neighbor, morning? Morning, how are you doing? It's 7 hours 35. That's 25 minutes to the 8 o'clock hour on the 6th day of September in the year 2024. I am your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. How you been? How was you yesterday? Yesterday was Thursday. How was you yesterday? How you make out? Penultimate day of the working week was yesterday, no? Or no, Saturday is a working day too, so today might be the penultimate for some people. How was you yesterday? How you make out? How was you last night? Last night we had karaoke at Club Twilight. It was a good time. We had a good time. Everybody was doing their thing, carrying their own key and so on. It was fun. Went into the morning. Yes, but like I say, regardless of how late I go into the morning, I have a commitment to you. And so I keep that commitment daily. What are you committed to? Are you committed to the fight? I hope you are. I hope you got up this morning with a new resolve to fight. Because unless you fight, you're going to find yourselves. Or unless we fight, we are going to find ourselves in a new kind of slavery, let me call it that. Servitude, oppression. I know a lot of you usually when I wear certain garments, you say, "You dress up, you look like an African king, you this, you that." This morning I'm wearing black. I chose to wear black this morning because I'm mourning the death of democratic Guyana. Some of you might not recognize the death. Some of you might still believe that it is slow in coming or it is coming. It's a creeping autocracy. It's a creeping dictatorship. It's a creeping this. It's a creeping that. Democracy is dead in this country. It is dead. The holders of power have ensured that democracy was murdered in this country. They were gradually doing it prior to 2015. But once they hit 2020 and they were installed, they are on steroids. Bad governance, oppressive governance is on steroid in this country. And nobody wants you to talk about it. And since they don't want you to talk about it, they're taking away the rights of the citizens to talk about it. When they can't get you to shut up by the threats of lawsuits and phone calls, intimidating phone calls, and so on and so forth, they go to the law. They go to parliament. With a very slim majority, a razor-thin majority, they go to parliament and they change laws left, right, and center to entrench themselves and the wickedness which they are engaged in. And so this morning, I am wearing black because I'm mourning the death of democracy, the death of free speech, the death of citizens' right to express their disagreements, to highlight the wickedness of government officials and the misbehavior of government officials. Some might say, Mr. Amsterdam, you're exaggerating. But I want you to take a few minutes and think about all the PPP has done, is doing, and will continue to do to shut up its critics. I want you to think about that. Think about the many attempts to shut up Whitford Burke, trumped up charges, etc. Think about the many attempts which resulted in Mark Benchka being framed or given a trumped up charge of treason. Think about the fact that Comey Wing was critical, was protesting in front of the current Attorney General's office and calling for him to be held accountable because of utterances considered threats against members of the Kaichor News publishing company. Think about that. Think about the mowing down of Ronald Waddle in the vicinity of his home. I think that's the Brimeville, just off Sheriff Street there. Think about the brutal beatings that CN Sharma endured during the years. Think about the allegations of sexual perversion, I'm calling it that. Forgive me if it's not the right terminology, that were leveled against Peter Ramsarup. Then those two young ladies it is alleged were renting his property, and he was accused of spying on them and having recordings of them, allegedly. Think about all of those things. Think about the arrest of Kidaki Amsterdam. On trumped up allegations, because that's what they are, of wanting to see the head of state and ministers of government beheaded. Jagdeo said it, I didn't. Think about those things. And look at the commonality. Look at the, as we say, the common thread in all of the matters that I've listed there. It's a long list. Think about the boycott of Starbucks News and Kaito News. The refusal to give them state ads. Why? Because all of these people and organizations that I mentioned dare to criticize the PPP while it's in government, or while it was in government and while it is in government now. We are facing the imminent death of free speech. I usually tell you, when you hear the PPP say we are considering, we are thinking about, we will, the deed is already done. So the recent utterances of that foul, the recent utterances of your AG, that they're going to be making amendments, or they're considering amendments to the Cybercrime Act or law, to address social media influencers and commentators and so on. Consider it done. And I will show you why I know it is done. But before I do that, let me tell Viva Lobo. Just Viva Lobo. Live loose? It sounds like living loose to me. Who says to stop spewing hate? Black boy. You heard that? Black boy. Who is spilling hate? Kuli representative. Kuli defender. Who is spewing hate? Stop spewing hate, black boy. We had bad times for years with the PNC. At the time we were going hungry. You're living in the past and you're living in the gutters. And I will relegate you right back there. Back to the gutter. So Viva Lobo, whatever they mean, live loose, live drinking soup, live defending the wrong things, back to the gutter. Back to the gutter. One, trench crapo. Let me tell you, take a few minutes out. We have a big lady in the house this morning. I hope she's in the house. It's the 89th birthday of a special woman. I want to take time out to wish her a happy birth anniversary. 89 years are no easy years on the face of this earth, especially when more than 23 of them had to be spent under wicked and vindictive and corrupt and criminal cabal named the PPP. Trust me. But she's 89 and she's going strong. I want you to see her so. I'm working on loading her photograph. But in the meantime, let me read for you two things. CNG Media. Guyana to amend cybercrime laws to combat social media attacks, says Anil Nandlal. In fact, says Attorney General Nandlal. I'm going to put it up on the screen so y'all going to see it. I don't want to say is Mr. Amsterdam say. I'm sharing a story with you. There's the headline. Guyana to amend cybercrime laws to combat social media attacks, says Attorney General. Georgetown, Guyana, Department of Public Information. Of course, you know, is the PPP mouthpiece. Attorney General, sometimes you want to hear it from the horse's mouth. Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Mohabir Anil Nandlal, Senior Counsel, I have a different interpretation of a CNO, has announced the government's intention to protect citizens from social media slander through an extensive review of the Cybercrime Act. On his weekly program, Issues in the News, aired on Tuesday, Minister Nandlal stressed how unregulated social media use poses a dangerous weapon to the reputation of citizens and the prosperity of Guyana. Quote, it is the abuse of freedom of expression and a government cannot stand idly by in the face of such onslaught against its citizens, end quote, the minister emphasized. The cybercrime bill passed in 2016 contains 43 clauses and 4 amendments detailing a plethora of cyberspace offenses and their respective penalties. Some of the offenses regarded under this bill include illegal access and use of data and computers, data and system interference, child pornography, sedition, harassment, intimidation, humiliation, and others. The bill was amended in 2018 to expunge the controversial sedition clause. According to Attorney General Nandlal, the bill is still in need of further review as cyberspace has become an equally dangerous place as physical space. Quote, this onslaught emanating from the social media platforms is causing public and private harm, and it will not continue without a reaction from the government, end quote, the minister said. Minister Nandlal assured that the Law Reform Commission is fully capable of completing the review in time for the resumption of the National Assembly in October. Deputy Chief Parliamentary Counsel Joan Bond was one of 2 Guyanese representatives in the ongoing United Nations Convention on Cybercrime. Due to these engagements, the government believes it has the necessary information to reform the bill following international standards. In addition to the amendments, the Law Reform Commission was tasked with the responsibility of reviewing the criminal procedure statutory provisions and proposing amendments that allow for documents to be served to persons based overseas committing cybercrimes in Guyana. The current criminal law procedures will also be reviewed to forfend any technical legal objections, including which court is authorized to try the matter or which personnel serves the documents. Amidst the promises to amend the bill, the minister also guaranteed that these amendments would not infringe on citizens' freedom of expression or the freedom of the press. Take note of that. Let me have a little discourse based on this. There's some things I want to point out to you. Now let's stress how unregulated social media use poses a dangerous weapon to the reputation of citizens and the prosperity of Guyana. Listen to this. I want you to listen to this quote. It is the abuse of freedom of expression, and the government cannot stand idly by in the face of such onslaught against its citizens. This onslaught emanating from social media platforms is causing public and private harm, and it will not continue without a reaction from the government. So your government is reacting to social media influencers, the social media content creators, making the public aware of what members of his cabinet, members of his government are up to. Low down, stinking, dirty shame, the wickedness that they're involved in. In the last week or so, last several weeks, let me see, last several days, social media influencer and content creator Melly Mel, I think her name is what? Melissa Atwell, I think, has brought to the fore several incidents of misbehavior in public office by ministers of the PPP government and friends of the PPP government. She has alleged, I dare say according to the nowadays talk, when you make some allegations, you got to bring receipts. She has alleged and she has provided receipts, accusing the Don's president of having extramarital affairs. I'm sure you've seen those posts. She further alleges that the Minister of Agriculture is having extramarital affairs. She further alleges that the man who had to give up his ministry because of allegations of child sexual grooming and rape leveled against him by that young Amerindian girl was involved in a nasty, shameful, dirty, stinking setup, humiliation of a foreign services officer, I think, if that's the right title given to the young lady's office. Along with Burke and others, they've been pointing out, making the public aware of whose visas have been revoked and why their visas have been revoked. For example, that impressionable company, the entire family, known friends and cronies of the PPP. And these are things which have been coming from, let me say, the desks of social media content creators and influencers. Social media content creators and influencers have been pointing out, for example, Michael Bailey. All the Guyanese money is being misused or misspent for poor ass work in the tunes of hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. And so when these revelations are made, what happens? What happens? According to DPI, they result in what? I'll tell you what they result in again. Public and private harm. Let me tell you what is public and private harm. When social media content creators and influencers inform the world, because the world is usually listening, that the minister of government is involved in insider trading because he has his friends, family, and cronies detailing, as we would say, washing and cleaning vehicles for his ministry at exorbitant costs, then it brings into question the credibility, the ethics of that minister. And so the public takes a look at that minister and sees that minister as just another hustler in public office. And that is public harm for the minister and the political party that he represents. When social media commentators and influencers bring to the public fore that a permanent secretary, or I should say former permanent secretary now, a higher up in the PPP party, I think she might have been treasurer, definitely a member of the central executive of the PPP party, was pulled in for questioning by the US authorities, phone seized, visa revoked, and finally sanctioned for corrupt practices. That brings that public official under the microscope of the public eye. It also exposes her political handlers and the political party which he serves as a senior member. Into disrepute. And that is not good. That is public harm for all those of the PPP friends and family and favorites who are being exposed by social media content creators and influencers. Just a few examples. And when a social media content creator or influencer publishes photographs, WhatsApp chat, among other things, of a minister and a member of the PPP Central Executive engaging in unethical, I would say unethical sexual behavior, predatory behavior, that creates private harm. Because hear me, an allegation against me of having extramarital affairs will create chaos in my home. It will create distrust. It will create unease. Likewise, ministers are not gods. They would like to believe that they're gods or behave like gods, especially ministers of the PPP. And so when allegations of extramarital affairs are made against a Dunsin president, the head of state, according to y'all, obviously, the first lady would be impacted. The peace and quiet in the, what they call it, state house, most likely will be impacted. And that's private harm. These are public officials. These are public officials. And if citizens find them lapsing, if citizens find them wanting, citizens have a right to point out their shortcomings. Until Vashti went public to Kaicho News, I think, citizens were of the opinion that Bar Jagdio was perhaps happily married, legally married to Vashti. But when she went public, then the citizens had a different view of who Bar Jagdio is. They saw him and they called him a liar, a deceitful person, a masquerader, because at all times he gave the impression to the citizens of this country as their head of state that he was married, legally married, and was taking care of his marital responsibilities. And so when media operatives and media houses make those things known to the public, then those who are involved are now exposed to public scrutiny and criticism. But most importantly, as we say, they have to face the fire at home. You remember what caused those threats to be issued by the then Attorney General to Kaicho News and recorded by Kaicho News, then Kaicho News journalist, what's his name? He used to do that program eventually with Freddie Kisoon. What's his name? Y'all help me. A recording was made of the Attorney General at that time soliciting sex for some so-called uncle. And so obviously, that brought into the public sphere the mentality, the behavior, the what else? I don't know. Of the then Attorney General. It resulted in threats being issued to Kaicho News. It resulted in Kaicho News being punished. And so now that these miscreants have a slim majority in Parliament, Gildari, and so much is being revealed by the Rickford Burks and the David Hines and the Kidaki Amsterdams and the Melissa Atwells and the Mark Ben Shops and the Cheryl Duncans and so on, social media communicators, content creators, influencers, whatever you want to call them. The Attorney General says what? We are not going to allow these people to expose us. My interpretation, my paraphrasing. In short, this statement is saying in my mind, I understand it to mean this onslaught, this everyday 24/7 exposure from social media platforms is causing public and private harm. It weakening our government, it undermining our government, it breaking up our homes because our wives and spouses are now finding out that they're sleeping with the enemy. And we will not allow it to continue without reacting. We will react. We will use the authority of government given to us to fight our personal battles. To shut up those who dare to monitor, observe, and talk about our misbehaviors. That is what this cybercrime amendment is about. Don't fool yourself. This ain't got crap. I am saying it. This doesn't have crap to do with anything about protecting people from slander, etc., etc. They claim that there is enough time for the preparatory works to be done from now to catch the next sitting of Parliament in October. This is September, and this is next month is October. So we're talking about the Law Reform Commission being able to revisit this law and put forward amendments, etc., within a period of, I'll give them leverage, 8 weeks. And the Law Reform Commission was only just recently sworn in, members of the Law Reform Commission. They were only just recently sworn in. And so they can get this work done in 8 weeks. I must commend their efficiency. But they say when blind man tell you your penalty, you don't get a brick. But look at the death of democracy. I didn't hear mention of any consultation on the amendments that will be made. Citizens whose right of free speech, citizens who will be muzzled by this law or these amendments, don't have a right to be consulted. As I like to ask, what you're going to do about it? What are Guyanese going to do about it? And don't tell me let the politicians deal with it in parliament, because the PPP got a slim majority that they will use to pass all the amendments that they want, regardless of what the opposition parliamentarians may see or may not see. Where is our Arab Spring? Where are the young people in this nation to protect their freedoms and the freedoms of the elders? Where are the social activists? Where are the civil society organizations? When will we take to the streets in large numbers and say, hey, stop. You want to amend it? We want to vet it. You want to amend it? We want to vet it. Because at the end of the day, it will infringe on our freedoms. Here's another article pertaining to the plan to amend it. Growing concern. Guyana's cybercrime law being used as a tool for political suppression. Growing concern. Guyana's cybercrime law being used as a tool for political suppression. What's the headline there? That's the headline. This is Village Voice by Mark DaCosta. In recent years, Guyana has seen a rise of concerns surrounding the potential misuse of cybercrime legislation to target and silence political opponents. Critics argue that the passage of the Cybercrime Act, whilst its intent was to protect the nation from online threats, is now strategically being used to suppress dissent and maintain political dominance. Guyana's Cybercrime Act was passed in 2018 by the APNU, a Partnership for National Unity and Alliance to Change. Coalition government-controlled parliament, ostensibly aimed at addressing the growing threats posed by cybercrimes such as hacking, identity theft, and the spread of malicious software. However, beneath its surface lies the potential for far-reaching consequences on free speech and political expression. The Act contains provisions that criminalize a wide range of online activities, including those that may be considered offensive or obscene. The law also allows for harsh penalties, including hefty fines and lengthy prison sentences for those found guilty of violating its terms. The broad and ambiguous language of the Act has raised alarm among human rights organizations and political analysts, who argue that it grants the government excessive power to interpret and apply the law in a manner that could stifle political opposition, basic rights, and freedoms. Amnesty International has expressed concerns over legislation's potential misuse, stating that, quote, broad and vaguely defined laws can be easily manipulated by authorities to silence critics and opponents, end quote. The organization has called on governments to ensure that the laws are not used as a tool for political suppression, but rather serves intended purposes of safeguarding citizens from genuine threats. The cases of photographer and social media personality Kieran Bruce and United States-based Guyanese Rickford Burke have become a focal point in the debate over the Cybercrime Act's application. Burke, president of the Caribbean Guyana Institute for Democracy, a vocal critic of the People's Progressive Party government, has been accused of violating the act through his online activities, which allegedly include the dissemination of, quote, offensive, end quote, content aimed at government officials. The CGID president, a prominent figure in opposition circles, has long been a thorn in the side of the PPP. His outspoken criticism of the government and advocacy for good governance and racial equality on social media platforms has garnered significant attention, making him a prime target under the Cybercrime Act. The international community is taking note of the Burke's case, with numerous organizations urging the PPP authorities to respect the right to freedom of expression and ensure that the Cybercrime Act is not weaponized against political opponents. The other case that has garnered much discussion is Kieran Bruce. Last month, Bruce was convicted under the Cybercrime Act as the Mudwater character who reportedly made false and defamatory statements against journalist Leroy Smith that injured his reputation. Bruce was on August 16, 2024, found guilty by Magistrate Sunil Scarce in the Diamond Magistrates Court and fined Guyana $3 million, which he has to pay within a month or face imprisonment of 6 months. The passage of the Cybercrime Act has sparked fears that it could be used to erode democratic principles in Guyana. The law's vague definitions and wide scope leave it open to interpretation, giving the government the power to target individuals who express dissenting views. This has led to concerns that the act is less about protecting the nation from cyber threats and more about consolidating political power. As Guyana continues to grapple with the challenges of maintaining a democratic society, the Cybercrime Act stands as a stark reminder of the delicate balance between security and freedom. One aspect of the previous I failed, I forgot to highlight and talk to you about is the aspect which says that among the amendments, we are likely to find clauses that permit my use of word, the going after people who live in foreign countries, skinning up this government. Do you recognize anybody who lives in a foreign country skinning up this government? I would like to call these amendments, or the law in particular, quite frankly, the Rickford Burke and Melly Mel and Mark Benchcup, etc. amendments. Those specific amendments, I dare argue, are intended to go after Rickford Burke because they've tried several ways of getting to Burke and no Melly Mel. And so far, they are unable to because the law doesn't permit it. They also intend to address the issue of jurisdiction. Who has jurisdiction and which courts can try the matters? They've already stacked, according to some of us, some observers, the judiciary with people who are, what should I say, what's the word? Expected to be nice to them. Will that specific court in the amendment be administered by one of these people expected to be nice to them? It is a known fact. The PPP goes judicial shopping. And in many instances, when they find the right judicial pull that they want, they do their necessary maneuvers and put their intended victims in those environments so that they can have their way. The lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. You tune to the Guyanese Morning Time. There are lots of voice notes, so let me start with one.
Mr. Kadaki, good morning. Happy Friday. I'm just calling in to tell you, and if you in public, especially those parents who have children at North Ranville Multilateral School that was sent home until further notice because of the toilet facilities are not in a proper condition. It's so disappointing at the beginning of a new school year where the Ministry of Education had 2 months in which to sort out certain things to accommodate those children coming in now to the schools have to be sent home until further notice because of such. But then the
Caller, hold the line, please. Hold the line, please, caller. I'm completing a voice note. No, it's not loading back. Caller, go ahead. You return to the voice note. You're live. Caller, you're live.
Yeah, good morning, Brother Kadafi, and good morning to your viewing audience. Let me say that this piece of legislation that is intended to be tabled in the National Assembly is one of a dictatorial one. It is modeled after a North Korean style governance, and Guyanese in every form should put it aside and disregard it as being an instrument of the state to muzzle the people of Guyana. In these times, you tabling something like that in the National Assembly to curtail people's freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is guaranteed under the Constitution of Guyana, not only in Guyana, right? Not only in Guyana, but around the world. You understand? If you cannot reach into the United States, you can make no law in Guyana to effect any program being transmitted out of the United States. In the United States, you get something called freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and I think it's the first amendment or something like that to the Constitution, right? You cannot do that. It is impossible. It is stupid and have no bearing. And I dare say to all the talk show hosts, now you should have intensified your effort more intensely. You cannot say that the people must not be free to express themselves. What nonsense is this? Brother Kadafi, you've been doing a such a splendid job. Yourself, Brother Rick Ford, Melinial, and Mark, and so on. And continue the good work. Do not be muzzled by this. Do not, what is causing this government to behave the way they are? Is the people of Guyana. Because from the moment you see the people of Guyana decide that enough is enough, this nonsense will stop. It will stop. You are the people, you are the citizen, you have the power in your hand, every citizen, to determine the destiny of your country. A government is only elected for such a time. You understand? And I'm totally outraged. And it is time now, more talk show hosts should be more. This is not North Korea. Thank you very much, Brother Kadafi. Have a night.
Thank you for your call. Caller, you're live.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. You looking sharp this morning, but you're looking like an African prince. I like the look. Keep it up. Anyway, I want to help you out here. The current cyber law legislation in Guyana, that was put in there by the APNU government, right? And I think the Attorney General said he's amending the act according to the United Nations thing right now. And another thing, Mr. Amsterdam, all these things you're talking about, you're guilty about the same thing, because you got Paul Floyd being accused too for the same thing that you're talking about, and you were giving him space on your page. You should wait until the court finish with his matter, if he's guilty or not guilty, and then and then you not the same. You should address the same issue Aubrey Norton get accused of too. I mean, the lady come out and she made a statement. So I agree with you in what you're doing, but then put everybody in the thing, not only certain people. You understand, man? Thank you for taking my call, Mr. Amsterdam, and all the best for the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, as they say, they always got those who come for aggravated spirit. I shall not be aggravated this morning. I shall not be aggravated this morning. I will, however, discuss and respond. Call your life.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. My contribution today is that this is what the people are saying. The opposition is big. Where is the opposition on this? You just hear the talk shows, hosts like yourself speaking out about this.
I'm a member of the opposition. I'm a member of the Working People's Alliance.
You are a member of the working people. But I'm talking about the main opposition, which is the APNU, which is PNC. We have the cloud. The majority of the people, to rally the people on the side to get them out to eat against this bill. I didn't even hear a member from the PNC or even the leader of the PNC opposition coming out and speak about this. They're just sitting on the Lawrence and just let it roll it. Where are their voice? These are people that are doing the groundwork for them, like yourself, Mr. Rick Fort Burke, Millie Melanie, that are bringing all these facts what the opposition is supposed to have to go to Parliament and fight on behalf of the people. The people put them there to represent their behalf. So if they're not there, if they're not represented, why are they still in there? Come out and give somebody else a chance who's willing to put up the fight. And this is what we need to open the eyes and see. These people, for me, the opposition and the current, which is, I would say, the PNC, are like they are in bed because the current government just coming up with some things and the opposition just sit down. Maybe because they think they don't have that cloud in the parliament, whereas because the government has a one-seat majority. No. But if they rally the people is what counts, like what the caller say. These governments are just running the affairs of the people, or managing the affairs of the people. At the end of the day, the people are the same. So these opposition put in their heads presently, especially the PNC. For things to happen, they gotta get off the Lawrence and come out and support and rally with the people. The people are waiting. You understand me? Because there's so much that people can do. You see what the government are doing, victimizing people, even to the freedom of speech. Think if people come to the street, what they will do. They don't have the police force on the side, and if literally you could see that. What do you think they were going to do with the people then? So the people are waiting for the leaders to take the street. If the leaders take the streets, then the people rally behind the leaders. So we won't have anything unless the leaders take the street. And that's my contribution, thanks.
Thank you. To the first call, I want to say a few things. The allegations made against Paul Stoll before the courts. Does that mean Paul Stoll doesn't have a right of expression? I have not seen Paul Stoll done anything that is contrary to what other people do when they're before the courts. I am charged and I'm before the court. Does that mean I don't have a right of expression? Is that what the court is saying to me? What am I guilty of? I am guilty of providing a platform, according to the caller, so that Paul Stoll can express himself. Is it a crime for people to express themselves? If that's what the caller is intimating, the caller is no different to the PPP. No different. But guess what? Y'all ain't gonna influence me to curtail people's freedom. I believe in freedom. I just stand up for freedom. I just fight for my freedom. And I believe every man has a right to defend his freedom. I don't speak for Paul Stowe because Paul Stowe speaks for himself and can adequately speak for himself. I come here daily and I always say it. I'm an equal opportunity beater. Opposition or government, you're wrong, you're wrong. That's how I call it. In my house or out of my house, you're wrong, you're wrong. That's how I call it. But I know for a fact, this particular caller who seems to be suggesting that it's okay for the PPP to do their amendments and go after people who speak truth to power is one who lives in a land where freedom of speech is guaranteed. A land where people just cause the president and nobody comes after them. But some of y'all only like good for yourself. Happy 89th birth anniversary to Miss Hyacinth Rodney, also known as Cynthia Coyle. The greetings are coming from her children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, relatives, and friends. May you live long and strong. Cynthia Coyle, I prefer that name. Good. Cynthia Coyle, over the years or months, has certainly become a friend of mine, right? A good friend of mine. But at the top of the list of the well-wishers, I dare say is Flash Gordon. Happy 89th birth anniversary to the mother of Flash Gordon. Many stories he has told me about her and the sacrifices that she has made to groom her children. And she stands there proudly. Still going strong at 89. Blessings, Cynthia Coyle. The lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. You tune to the Guyanese morning time. I was playing some voice notes, which I shall return to right now.
Mr. Kadaki, good morning. Happy Friday. I'm just calling in to tell you, and if you're in public, especially those parents who have children at North Ranville Multilateral School that was sent home until further notice because of the toilet facilities are not in a proper condition. It's so disappointing at the beginning of a new school year where the Ministry of Education had 2 months in which to sort out certain things to accommodate those children coming in now to the schools have to be sent home until further notice because of such. But then the Ministry of Education, the minister who's the queen of the pack, who has 2 children now going to Queen's College. She has a son now entering 4th form and her daughter in 3rd or 4th form. Soon as a doorknob fall off of that school, within minutes, persons from the Ministry of Education comes there and it's been replaced. You know, that school is like a palace now because her children are attending. Everything is in order there. That's not fair. That's how they care, because we care. They have to examine themselves. Ministry of Education is a hot mess. The minister is very unfair and biased when it comes to other schools. All she's attending to is Queen's College. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for that voice note. I want you all to ask prayer. And any other minister in this government to link these words to what they are doing. Planning, organizing, influencing, and controlling. Are there any of the PPP trolls who on this program right now to associate those 4 words with a course of study that them and the ministers took? Planning, organizing, influencing, and controlling. Because every time you look around, then you see what the PPP is about. The way they mismanage this economy, the way they mismanage this society, the way they mismanage every damn thing. You know, they don't know nothing about planning. They don't know about organizing. They don't know about influencing nor controlling. They have not a clue of what they're doing. Are there any of them to tell me what those 4 words are associated with? A course of study. I dare them to tell me that. If they understood what is required of them, or they cared about what is required of them, they would have planned. From the day schools were closed for the August vacation period, they would have sent their subordinates out there to make an assessment of every educational institution. As a matter of fact, they didn't even have to send anybody. They should have asked for reports from the head teachers, who are the managers of those schools. What are the things that need to be rectified before school reopens in September? When they get that information, then they would have planned how to get them done. They would have organized properly with timelines, how to ensure that those things are done before schools reopen. They would have influenced the contractors who those contracts were given to. And they would have controlled the situation to ensure that the contractors execute what they have to execute in a timely manner, so that fresh-smelling schools at least could be delivered to the students of this country. But no, they don't have a clue of what I'm talking about. All they know about is bullyism. All they know about is, listen, cronyism. We got 10 schools that need cleaning. Take all of them and give Dan Ram construction. Because Dan Ram, one of my nephew, cousin, auntie, Mamu Chachi. And so nowhere in their covetous and greedy minds would they consider that Daram construction doesn't have the capacity to simultaneously clean and prepare 10 schools for school reopening. So when time would have passed and schools reopened, Daram construction only was able to complete 4 out of 10. And so the other 6 would have to be closed, maybe indefinitely, until the RAM construction can get on to getting them done. I'm reminded that beasts don't think. And that is what we're dealing with as a government. Beasts. The caller, the voice notice, spoke about Sitara Gal and our children at Queen's College. That is what they're good for. They sit in the AC rooms. They sit in the AC rooms Their children are chauffeur driven. And so they don't have to face the hardships that the ordinary man faces. And so they care not. Voice note.
Karaki, blessings and good morning to you and your listeners. Karaki, Guyanese people had been fed with so much of lies, deceit. So when the truth comes out, people like you, David Hines, Rick Fudd, Mark, Sherrod, Norman, and all these guys speaking the truth, it became an offense to the installed regime, talking about cybercrime and all kind of foolishness. But the clock is ticking, and they realize that the numbers are getting slim. So these are the things that they are doing to see if they will be stabilized. But the truth is coming out. The truth is there for people to see and to understand. So my brother, keep the struggle. I know you are doing a wonderful job, and your program is one of the best. Karaki, stay strong, my brother. I'm seeing victory for the coalition. I'm seeing victory for Guyanese people. And when these criminals demit office, they will never see the jaws of power again. Have a wonderful day, my brother.
Good morning, Brother Kidaki. Good morning, viewers. Brother Kidaki pertaining to the Guyana PPP force. You see all these commanders and all these station sergeants, them is the one are corrupting this old police force, PPP force. You understand me? And this, they come from the head, the installed government of the day. Look at this region that they place them Indians commander that ain't qualified, that don't have no experience, that uneducated. And the reason why they put them there, because they have nothing going on in the region that they can be hiding for them. You understand me? Kudos to the Almighty for scaling up that big drug bus in Region 1 a couple of days ago. And kudos to the DEA, not James Singh, as the squatter said, but congratulations to Mr. Singh. With congratulations, the burning in the heart to see that such a massive drug bus gets skinned up. So don't kudos to Mr. James Singh. Mr. James Singh have no part to play in that. Mr. James Singh failed this country from since the PPP, the APNO kick you out and they bring him back at this point in time. Kudos to him for what? The burning in the heart to see such a big drug bus. We don't know what the hell they were going to do with all that money. And it's kudos to the Almighty back once again, pertaining to Mr. Paul Slow, Mr. Conway, especially Mr. Paul Slow. Mr. Paul Slow, God is with you from the beginning to the end. You understand me? You don't be afraid of these jagabats. These jagabats is not God. You understand me? The days of execution are over. This is not time when they kill actually 400 something African Guyanese in this country. You understand me? This is a different time. You understand me? And America watching you back. So let them try anything with you. Not America alone. Got different countries watching you back, big up. So big up yourself. You keep up with the good works. Keep teaching them police work. You have the full knowledge. You have everything what it takes to do what you're doing there. You're one of the most qualified ex-police officer in this country. You understand me? So you keep doing the good works. God is with you. From the beginning, as I say, to the end, you're well covered. Not by the evil forces, by the Almighty. You're well covered, Mr. Slow. Kudos to y'all, y'all once again. Big up, big up, big up, big up. Guyanese people, you look out for these people, man. These people doing a wonderful work for us in this country, especially exposing the installed government and the PPP force. Understand me? Y'all have a blessed day. Our right thinking, Guyanese.
Thank you for that voice note. The first caller did mention that the Cybercrime Act was enacted under the coalition, the AP and UFC coalition. Yes. And they were cautioned. They were cautioned. But some people got tunnel vision. They could only see in one direction. When they set their mind in one direction, that's all they could see. They don't see the fringe. I say they must bear some amount of responsibility for the way the law is being used to oppress people now. But the one thing we can say, they enacted it. They never used it as a tool of oppression. They never used it as a tool of oppression. So for others to come and use it as a tool of oppression and people to say, but it's they enacted. It's casting blame, I dare say, where it's not due. Laws are necessary. Laws are never perfect. It is the interpreters and the purposes for which the laws are used that we can judge them on. The coalition never used the Cybercrime Act to go after opponents, after dissidents, as they want to call them. I dare argue it could have been a tighter piece of legislation. But it also points out what people end up with when they fail to hold their representatives accountable. Because Guyanese weren't paying enough attention to it. They did not take the streets to challenge it. They did not flood the inboxes of the Minister of Legal Affairs and whoever else was spearheading it. They didn't challenge their constituent representatives to stand against it. And so now you see what it's being used for. You're going to continue lying down and roll over? I hope not. No double dipping on this morning's program. The lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Happy
Call all the line.
Friday. This government forget is there to serve the people of Guyana and not the other way around. There's so many things that happening in Guyana. It's unbelievable. The roads are deplorable. Cost of living is so high. The crime is so high. The accident rate is so high. And people are suffering. Poor people are suffering. The cybercrime law is only for the opposition. The people that are talking about their ills, their supporters are not charged or arrested when they commit cybercrime crimes. It's ridiculous. Democracy has died in Guyana, and people should stop sitting and talking. And I don't know what happened to the opposition. It's a weak opposition. The people should be on the street protesting for their rights, and not to be trampled by this dictatorial regime, this criminal and regime that's stealing most of the money from the natural resources in Guyana, enriching themselves and others. People stop sleeping. Guyanese stop sleeping and go out there and protest for your rights. Talking wouldn't change anything.
Call it, Ron.
Yeah. Good morning, Kanaki. You know, when you listen to some people as they talk, it does send me into a rage. Now, many of these people, they live right here. And they wouldn't go out and protest. I don't know why they just come on the program and try to cause problem with people were talking about coming out and protest. Last Tuesday, well, I wouldn't say the numbers was there. I'm glad people took it out, because by the time I got home from the protest, there it was all over social media, the big group who were out there protesting. So I stopped listening to people who calling into your program to say come out and protest. They are right here and they don't come out. Now I would like to know, with this new thing that the Vincent is trying to make a stronger law, if the countries that allow people the right to speak, the right to congregate, freedom of speech, freedom to protest, if they are going to allow Guyana to make a law like that, to infringe on the rights of their citizens, then is when we will know that Guyana is a real powerful country, should they allow something like that to happen. Because I believe, I know Rickford Burke is a citizen of the United States of America, and there is something to guard his citizenship. And I want to know if they are going to allow their citizens who would make a meaningful contribution to the country to be destroyed by a vindictive and fraudulent country that has no laws for the citizens. And why is this cybercrime law looking to control what people see? The Vincent said that out. However, it's freedom of speech. If you got freedom of speech, you would not weaponize a law. And they have got to be a law, because with social media, when they did jumping up, I could remember him jumping up and saying to people that the opposition is a weak place, and he wants to know if the opposition, he see that the opposition is weak, but with the weakness came a certain strength that now they can't understand. And when it comes to them talking and getting an answer, if you don't thief, you will not be afraid to see somebody walk with a bag. Because you know why? You don't thief. I live here, and if anybody look to say to go put up meeting on cybercrime, cyberspace, it don't bother me. You know why? Because I live within the ambits of myself, and whatever people go like to put out there, it wouldn't bother me, because you know what? Me ain't got time to do. And I think that the installed regime got bigger things to fight, but for vexing them, when you are like the sanctions that came down on the rich and famous, and many more sanctions, and all of them, if it was in the bygone days, nobody would have known the sanctions on this country, and the list has come here, but they are not putting it out there. But people from outside got to put the names of the people who are being sanctioned. When we see they leave to go outside, they cannot enter the country because they are being sanctioned. Now, I would like to know, Kadaki, I think in the public service law in Guyana, that you retire at the age of 55. And I think that you cannot get a post like another, all right. So like you're a nursing assistant and you go and you train up. Ministry of Health would say, when you finish your 5 years training, at least you must be able to work like 3 years in the place that you're, the designation that you're gone into. So I would like to know, yeah, that's it. So I would like to know, in the thing of judges, what age do a judge retire at in Guyana, and how long the judge, how late the judge could be appointed to a full judge, considering the age of retirement being 55. And if that goes to judges last, I think, I know it says, but some rumor came around. Remember I told you about the cleaners, the $40,000 workers who are made to go to clean the Blankenburg primary school under the orders of the Denham Cell chairman. Anyway, they did not go because in the NDC, Denham Cell Hague Local Authority, there are 5 schools. Blankenburg to the east, and Hague Nursery, and Hague Primary to the west. And then you got Denham Cell Nursery, Denham Cell Primary. All the other schools in the NDC, the cleaners went and cleaned up the school for the reopening of school. However, Blankenburg did not do that. But on the last day of the 40,000 workers, they solicited the team to go and clean the school, and the team reneged. Well, right now, the team is at the region undergoing forensic treatment and examining because they are slated with their monitor to be dismissed from the job because they refuse to go and clean the dirty school that the cleaner left. So that is the impasse. But you know, from the impasse, a lot of them cussing up and talk about the put chair money and they put in the PPP. Well, I mean business at all. But that is where it's at for now. And the new road, the new roundabout that they have built today, West Coast end. Kadaki, let's see if we gonna get it working so smooth for the next 3 months. But I travel on the road and I have already noticed a fault on the road. But don't not put bad mouth on it. So that is my comments for today. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Anthony Brown says Nigel Hines is out there, was out there working overtime to get the PPP power. Yeah, hindsight is 2020 vision. Don't worry yourself. Hindsight is 2020 vision. Somebody asked, Rhonda Self asked a question about judges. Puny judges retire at 62 years. Other judges, apart from the chancellor, retire at 65 years. And the chancellor has up to 68 years. Right? So let's get that right. Puny judges, they retire at 62. All other judges except the chancellor go at 65, and the chancellor goes at 68. Right? That is according to the Guyana Act number 6 of 2001, constitutional amendment apparently. Good. So some judges you will be stuck with up to 68 years. Some you'll go to 65 and some 62. Good. It's 5 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. I still have voice notes to play. You still have Zelle and Cash App to go to. And so let's continue with our programming.
Hi, Kadaki. Good morning to you and the listening public. there is something going on in the media. I saw that Irfan had given out $50 million to invest in poetry. I don't know how true it is, allegedly, right? So if there's any knowledge you know about that, you can shed some light on it. But my concern is that why is it from the beginning when the PPP take office, they didn't invest this $50 million in poetry? Instead, they were bringing aid from Brazil and crueling or stifling the small poetry farmers like myself and others up to this date. And now to know that election is next year, they really seen a vision that they will not return to office, make their investing this money, this big sum of money, to put themselves in a good lineup. Is it my thinking correct, or what's really going on? If this news is circulating on social media is true, because ever since before if I become president, I heard that he has big poultry farm up the highway. So it's very ridiculous to know that you're investing this large sum from a government side, and when that sum invested, basically the price would be very cheap, and our small farmers, that can be a cruel effect on our small farmers. So if that is true, instead of the president investing this money or through another man allegedly, why not give it to the small farmers then and let us invest the money? Why not give us land and give us money to invest so we can repay back that money with the interest? Why is it the government are wanting to invest this large sum in poultry? That's just my concern. As I said, it's all alleged. I don't know, but it is on social media, and I don't know, man. Just confused what's going on right now. Thank you for listening and play my voice note, though.
I don't have the answer to those questions, except that I will say $50 million is chicken feed. To invest in the poultry industry, $50 million is chicken feed. Y'all could disagree with me, but it's chicken feed. Voice note.
Good morning, Kadaki. I am of the opinion that once Melimel and other social media influencers can substantiate what they are saying, there's no way Nandalal can stop them from speaking the truth. Once they have proof for what they're saying, and for those people that they are accusing, they would not want to go in court to face their accusation. So he cannot stop them from speaking the truth. What they have to be careful with is that do not make no false allegation against them. But once they have facts, they can put it out there, and the accuser, or those who are being accused, would be afraid to go and face the court because all of their dirty laundry will be out there. So let them continue to talk. They have to talk. These people time are short and there. Look what time they go in and say amend laws. It's hide they want to hide, and they want to keep the people of Guyana enslaved. Thank you.
I want to say something to the caller, to the voice noter. In many instances, especially in dictatorships, the accusers are not concerned about winning, They would like to win. They would like to see you incarcerated and shut up and so on. But in many instances, they know that even if it's a tall task, they know that they can use the laws to stymie you. Let me give you a good case, a good example, because I'm before the courts. All of you are aware of why I was arrested. Did you see justification in my arrest and charge? Is there any justification in my arrest and charge? I'm asking again. Do you think it's justifiable? Do you think it's a winnable case? I don't think so. But I will repeat to you what now dead Commissioner of Police, former Commissioner of Police, Henry Green said to me. Just name the man. We will arrest him. We will lock him up. And by the time he can prove his innocence, he would have been behind bars long enough to bring you satisfaction. And I dare extend that to say, if he lives. If he lives. Because we have seen many persons placed behind bars, pleading their innocence. And before they had their day in court to prove their innocence, they turned up dead. So don't worry this thing about if you got facts and if you got facts and if you got facts. They don't care if you have facts. Their aim is to suppress information and to suppress the bringers of information. And so sometimes you have to think outside the box. That's what you gotta do. Think outside the box. The charges that have been laid against Mingo and all the other former GCOM staffers, I see them as harassment. I see them as intimidation. Because for 4 years, those cases have not even come close to an end, as far as I'm aware. Albert Morgan from number 50 somebody village in Borbies was charged with cybercrime. It's approaching 2 or 3 years. They have his gadgets, they have his bail money, and they have him going to the police station. But he has not seen 1 day in court. It's a psychological attack on people. I mean, you see us going down there smiling and doing what we have committed to do, but you don't know the psychology of what we do. You don't know what we're dealing with. Proof and evidence, people don't have respect for that. They will lock you up after they've done judicial shopping and throw away the key. The number of years it will take for you to prove your innocence, they might be long gone, some of them to the grave. Think outside the box. This is not about evidence. This is about oppression. And in this instance, the oppressors are bent on having their way and mistreating citizens. People gotta respond.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. This cybercrime law thing that this and the law and this PPP try to plan, oh my God. I don't think a lot of Guyanese realize the magnitude or the real problem behind this thing is. We finish in this country, seriously we finish. Because the PPP is going to go after people for saying anything against the government. Any little issue that people point out, whether it's from road work or any issue that pertaining to them, they're going to go after these people. Barajagio said, but no, it's not going to affect people with freedom of speech and anything. Who believes Barajagio and anything that Barajagio said? At least not me, because I ain't believing nothing that a man said, because I know these people. We have been governed by these people to long enough to know that Barajagio lied so much that the laws that they're planning to pass is going to affect people, right? He's only talking this because he's carrying out a press conference and he wanted to portray or to give the world the impression that, you know what, yes, we're going to be reviving this law and what have you, but yet we're not going to tamper with people when it comes to the freedom of expression or freedom of speech or whatever it is. But they will. Eventually they will. Because it's clearly now, it clearly shows you now, it clearly shows that you cannot say anything, right? Or point out any faults that the government has. is, when it comes to contracts, when it comes to road work, when it comes to every single thing that the government do, you cannot highlight the issue and put it up on social media, because the government, of course, they're going to be offended of it, and people is going to see it, and next thing you know, they're going to come after you, right? So I don't know why it is that the government is saying that, look, they're not going to, it's not going to target people, or it's not going to stop people from having the say or freedom of speech or whatever it is. I don't believe them. I don't believe Jackie, and I don't believe what Anen and the land and all of them are saying. Until I see otherwise, then I will believe it. But for now, I don't believe them. Anyway, have a blessed morning.
Thank you for that call. Let me remind you that tomorrow morning from 7 to 9, the Brotherhood of Cross and Star is going to have an interactive session on CAMS TV. Those of you tune in on a regular Sunday morning, you can tune in tomorrow morning between 7 and 9, and partake in the interactive session. More voice notes. In fact, before I go to voice note, I see Max Samp is saying that people are not supporting the program because they're not sharing it. He is seeing 600 plus persons and only 43 shares. I am literally tired and fed up of begging people to do little things like share the program, contribute to the Cash App, contribute to the Zelle, contribute to the upkeep of the program, encourage others to view the program, and so on. Let me say this and say it quite frankly. Some people might be offended. That which Mark Samp is pointing out is a good example of why we don't have thousands of people on the street. Because viewing on social media, just to click like or click share is no big heavy lifting. And if you can't do that, then you got to put your physical on the ground. It might be wishful thinking for us to expect you to be there. That's the reality. But we got to do what we do. We are doing what we are doing. Despite all the criticisms and so on of our shortcomings, we are all humans. But y'all got shortcomings too. Max Amp is seeing 6 something. I'm seeing over 1,000 viewers because of the different platforms I'm on. There are more than 1,000 viewers on this program this morning. Less than 150 likes or shares. Less than 1 contributor financially. The lines remain on. I was playing voice note. Let me go right back there.
Mr. Dava, President, good morning to you and the listening viewers around the world and in Guyana. And I always say, had it not been for this program and other programs like Mark Benchcup and Rickford Burke and Sher Duncan, we would have been in a real way back fallback system that even today, one must say, the poultry and the pig farmers, well, these people do their business in a professional manner. But let me get to the topic. I see early in the week you advertise the Jamaican Prime Minister with those buses that he brought into the country. That alone would tell people that this government ridiculous. What Jamaica have? Jamaica doesn't have not even quarter of the resources that we have. And the population would tells it all. Guyanese, brothers and sisters, African, Indians, Amerindians, all the nation, are we sleeping? Are we so dense? Oh my gracious. When Granger had the 5 Bs, they left it to rot. What they want to bring the country to? What the PPP want to bring the country to the numbskull and dumbbell citizen? Why, when we gonna get people like Sheedat Ramphel, Rashley Jackson, and many, many other more. I don't want to be too long on this program, but Guyanese, wake up. When you see the education minister in that position, wherever she was, is like when a hungry lion cheese or a hungry lion cheese somebody and they succeed with that cheese and they gapping for breath, how they sat. No moral standard. These things alone can tell you these people is not no good for Guyana. And we got to do something and vote them out. When they in government, the drugs, the killing, so rampant. What are we waiting for, Guyanese? Have a blessed day.
Thank you for your voice. So, Shelly, thank you for, as we say, hiding the shame. Thank you for visiting the Cash App. Yeah, thank you for your Cash App visit, Shelly. The lines remain open. It's 12 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. I wasn't even aware. Let's play some more voice notes.
Good morning, Kidaki. Good morning, listening viewers. The Wyler cares nothing. The Wyler cares nothing about other people's, what should I say, about other people's children. As long as she picking them, get what they want, not even the school she cater for. As long as her children are taken care of, that's it. The government cares nothing about people's children. All that they're interested in is filling their pockets, thieving, thieving, thieving. You feel like vexed with the police there? With the drugs? No. If the government getting why I can't get, oh, you mean everybody helping themselves? All of we gotta get rich. All of we gotta eat food. We gotta make we bread. Look what the top doing. Nobody must vex with me. Thief, 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 and thief. Everybody have a great day. Pray for your children. Pray for our children and grandchildren. Oh my God. It's more than enough now. Long time done is short time coming. Aliolan, every long rope get an end. Trust me. Not long from now. Or finally, Nandalal, all of you drag you, all of you. Trust me. Are you bark like a dog now? Are you gonna whistle more than canary soon? Trust me. People only talking the opposition, the opposition, the opposition. The opposition, the opposition. It's time for fight for self. If you see y'all see the opposition ain't doing nothing, go out and fight for yourself. Call a protest, Randalena and 7 people. I used to dep on every protest when I used to live in Guyana. Randalena and 7 people. I used to dep on big truck. We used to move with coconut tree in them time. What nonsense, opposition, opposition, opposition. Y'all see the opposition ain't doing nothing. Is one man alone is the opposition? The opposition, the opposition, the opposition. Come out and fight for yourself. Fight for your children. Fight for your grandchildren. You gotta do you. And stop with the opposition, and weak opposition. If the opposition weak, y'all go there and be strong.
Thank you for that voice note. And thank you, Masasi. Masasi, thank you for being number 2 in the Cash App. I'm about to leave. I have to go. It's time for me to go. I think I played all of the voice notes. I want to say, oh, yeah. On Friday next, I'm going to have Leader of the Opposition, Aubrey Norton, on. I'm going to have Leader of the Opposition, Aubrey Norton, on the program on Friday next. So spread the word. All those of you who want to crucify Ari, you get your chance to crucify him next week, Friday. He's going to be on the program. Good. So line up your questions. You could shoot them by me. I'll see how many of them we can facilitate. That's all I want to say. But come with open minds. I don't want emotions. I want open minds. Please come with open minds. Good. Something else I wanted to remind you of. Nevertheless, have a great day. Much love. What I did not share with you, maybe it's not shareable. Oh, yes, there's a video I want to play for you. Yes, there's a video.
You there, second desk, blue jacket. What is your name?
My name is Alexis.
Alexis, please leave my lecture room. I don't want to see you at one of my lectures ever again.
I don't understand.
I am not going to ask a second time. Thank you. Why are there laws? What are laws for? Anyone?
Social order.
To protect the person's personal rights. So that you can rely on the government.
Justice? Thank you. Tell me, was I unfair to your classmate just now? Indeed I was. So, why didn't any of you protest? Why didn't any of you try and stop me? Why didn't you want to prevent this injustice? You see, what you have just learned, you wouldn't have understood in 1,000 hours of lectures unless you lived it. You didn't say anything because you weren't affected yourself. And this attitude speaks against you and against life. You think it doesn't concern you, so it's none of your business. Well, I'm here to say, if you don't help bring about justice, then one day you too may experience injustice, and there will be nobody there to stand before you. Truth and justice lives through us all, and we must fight for it. Because in life and work, I mean, we often live next to each other, but not with each other. We console ourselves that the problems of others are nothing to do with us, none of our business. And we go home glad at night that we're spared, but it's about standing up for each other. Every day an injustice happens in business, sport, or on the tram. Relying on someone else to take care of it is not good enough. It is our duty to be there for others, to speak up for others when they cannot. I am here to teach you the power of your voice. I want you to learn critical thinking to empower you to stand up for what is right, even if it means going against what everyone else is doing. Let's begin.